Welcome to the Trelawny Major League YouTube channel, and today we're at the home ground for the Holland United football team at the William Knibb Memorial High School. Today we have here Kenil Mowat. He's a player of the Holland United football team. So first question, what position do you play?
Play left wing, centre forward, and sometimes air mid.
Okay, that sounds good. So would you say those are your natural positions, or you kind of got forced into it by the coach, or what exactly?
Forced into it, but most likely left wing is my natural position.
Okay, so do you feel comfortable in the position that you're in now, or would you want to grow into the ones that you like?
Feel comfortable.
Okay, that sounds good. So when it comes down to your background of football, when did you say the love for football started to grow for you?
I mean, what, like 7 years.
Okay, that sounds good. So what would you say are some of your strengths in the game, and what would you say you are currently working on?
Strength, like, me have a ball, like, you can't just throw me a fight. Have a ball, but when I work on my body.
Oh, so you want to get a little bit more bigger?
Both for it.
Alright, that sounds good. How old are you, by the way?
13 years now. 14 next month.
Okay, so you're in high school, and I know that you're attending the William Knibb High School. So what grade are you in right now?
Grade 8.
Grade 8. Okay, so how has the experience been in the high school competition compared to now playing with Holland in the Trelawny Major League?
Like, that Costa Cup, like, it was
Yes, that was the good.
difficult to, because players them where play fit like us, they move around like us. They fit in a major league, Trelawny Major League, so they can move around fit like us and fast like us.
Okay, that sounds good. So basically you have an advantage there. So would you say that is something that gets you motivated to go out there and do a lot in the major league?
Yeah, just listen to coach and tell it. And give put out it. Fight for your one.
Alright, so how do you handle pressure when it comes down to football playing for Holland?
Pressure come, just fight pressure.
Alright, that sounds good. So what would you say are some of the major lessons you've learned from your coach and from some of your fellow players as well?
Discipline, control and pass, movement, communication, confidence.
Okay, great. So who do you say, and this is the final question, who do you say is your greatest influence as a player and also in the coaching realm as well?
They look to me as Bappe, but I don't look to myself as Bappe. Look to myself as Mitoma.
Oh, yes. That sounds good. So why would you make such a comparison with yourself?
I don't know. Really and truly, I don't know.
Alright, so it was nice talking to you today. I hope you have a very good time progressing in the league, and also when it comes down to the Costa Cup as well. I hope that next season you impact it more and go all the way with William Knibb. Alright.
Good, go.
Today we have here Ron Williams, and he's a player for the Holland United football team. So first, what position? Are those your natural positions, or over the time you just progress to go to those positions? Okay, so how long ago was it that you were the goalkeeper for the Costa Cup team?
2 years now.
2 years. Okay, so based on your progression in football, how would you say you started? How did your love for football start?
From football started from under 13. Then first came in make United go on try out. That's basically about the goalkeeper. When
It seems like you really fight.
it's not because I play wing forward or striker, you can't say it's probably better in that than you're actually thinking it.
Alright, that sounds good. So, how would you say that you stay motivated through all those tough times, especially going to school as well and then have to be playing football in the evenings?
Stay motivated because I see my friends playing and I said if them can do it, we can do it.
Alright, so do you see yourself pursuing a career in football? Right. So, what are some of your short-term, long-term goals in sport? Short-term to the end of the year and then long-term within maybe the next 3 years.
Short term goals we should win this major league title, team move on to championship, and long term must win a second.
These are some of the strengths because you've played in so many different positions. So, what we say are some of the strengths that you've grown.
My strengths are kicking, passing the ball.
Hope you have a very good season. Okay, so today we have Jamar Skyers here from the Holland United team. So, firstly, what position do you play?
Center forward for the Holland United.
So, is that a position that you grew up wanting to play, or would you say that you grew into it, or you kind of got pushed there?
Because of seniority and the leadership role I play in the team, I think that's why I was pushed center forward. My natural position is coming off the left side, left wing.
Okay, great. That sounds good. So, can you tell us a little bit about your background and how you got started in football?
When I was 4 years old, actually, that was the time I got my first ball, and from there, I was at it every day, literally, trying to juggle. I remember juggling to 3 and then seeing if I can go to like 4. That is how I progressed. And then at the age of 11, I was playing a match for the parish, and Coach Jeremiah, our coach of Holland United, he saw me and asked my father if he would allow me to play under 17. And then from there, he has basically had me under his wings. I progressed through under 14 under him, under 16, the Costa Cup, and now I'm here playing senior football time.
It sounds like you had a very long journey to now. So, can you share one of the biggest highlights or moments you've had for the club so far?
Scoring in the knockout semi-finals. I think that's the biggest highlight I'd have. And I also won under 17 in the club.
Okay, great. That sounds good. So, who would you say is your biggest influence in football right now?
Honestly, my coach, Dwight Jeremiah, and as a player, Lionel Messi. Yeah, I try to build my style of play based mainly of him and Neymar.
Yes.
As a winger, dribbler. So that is where my style of play comes from, basically. That's my inspiration.
Okay, great. So, what do you say are your short-term goals, maybe for the rest of the year, and some of your long-term goals in the career of football?
Short term, is trying to get my team in the knockout. We're kind of behind the 8 ball right now, but I think with time, the team will improve and we'll push on to better things. My long-term goal now is hopefully finishing college in like the next 4 years and progressing to professional football.
Okay, that sounds good. So thank you for answering those questions. Good evening, and today we have the White Jeremiah, the coach of the Holland United football team. So he has been here for a lot of years now, literally from I was a little boy. Mr. Jeremiah has been coaching this team. So can you tell us a little bit about the history and background of your team?
Yeah, well, Holland United is pretty much, as a club, as an institution, was formed on the 21st of February 2001. I was just fresh from college and felt that I had to give back something to the community. Being a youth exchange student, to coming from Canada, to you just feel like you have to have a social responsibility. So it was formed under a shed at a shop in Zion, Miss Nina's shop, on that day. And yeah, I was made president of the club as well. And it was football related. It was really community based to try and find means to uplift the youngsters, and for the youths that are at risk, how could we help them? And there was a team in the community known as Carib. And eventually I was approached by the Carib setup that they wanted to bring the football under the banner. And so Carib became Holland United. Came under the banner, so I adapted the name Holland United. So the colours of the club too was selected by the members, so the orange and white, pretty much in sync with Holland as a country. The Dutch team, Holland, and our chain strip is blue, just like Holland, the country as well. But the name Holland pretty much comes from the community in Zion area where Holland High School is. It's known as Holland Estate. This entire area where William Nib is and Zion was a part of a sugar estate, which is Holland Estate. So that's how we got our name, from the community of such. And the football came a part of it because of that. We used to run remedial classes at William Nib too for footballers. So I used to teach a lot of subjects here in the evening free of cost, and I got some other teachers on board. So a remedial program was part of it. I also had an accommodation part. So I had about 10 boys that passed through my own home of no relation to me, who we helped through school, and accommodating them and giving them food as well. And yeah, the rest, they say, is history, as Holland is pretty much a household name in Trelawny and Western Jamaica. In fact, now getting out there in the length and breadth of Jamaica as well.
Yes, that sounds good. So that history is a very, very big history, and it's a very strong one as well. So what are some of the team's greatest achievements and memorable moments so far?
I mean, our greatest achievement to date is not even a title we've won, but last year we, as a major league club, not even playing in Tier 2, transferred a player from Holland United to Europe, a professional player. He was made our first professional player. I don't think there's even another major league club in the parish that has a professional player. We currently now have about 5 or 6 professional players on our roster. But yeah, our biggest achievement is sending Mr. J. Daly to Europe. He's currently plying his trade in North Macedonia, doing well. And for a club not in the Premier League to do that was historical for us as well. So for us, that's our biggest achievement. But we have produced a lot of national players as well. Mr. J. Daly, under 17, Lance Leng, under 17, Odin Clark, under 17, went to the under 17 World Cup in Mexico 2017, I think. We also had Kevin Clark, who scored a hat-trick on his debut for the national under 15 team as well. So we've had a long list of national representatives for a small club, and we have a lot of players in the Premier League as well playing now. We had Stephen Young, who is at Portmore. Stapling there came from Holland United as well to Portmore. Kevin Clark, Deontay Bennett just completed their stints. Omari and Rob also in the Premier League 2024 as well. So yeah, it's a rich history, and we pride ourselves on that, in making transitions with players. But also we've won the Major League in the parish about 3 times, the knockout possibly 4 or 5 times. Under 17, we are king of youth football in this parish.
Yes.
I mean, I think we've won it 5 years in a row as well.
Yeah.
And under 13, they had 3 competitions. We've won 2 of those. So, I mean, a rich history. And I think we dominated this parish from 2006 to about 20, probably about 2021, because we won our last knockout title just before COVID as well. So we're pretty much a team, a staple team in this parish, a household name. You say Holland United and there's not a player that don't know it.
Great. So with those achievements under your belt, how do you keep the players focused and prepared from match to match, both mentally and physically?
We've taken a little dip in terms of, for some persons, it's in terms of performances. The Holland United didn't make the playoffs last competition, and we got knocked out in the second round in the knockout, and the season before that. So some persons would look at it and say it's a dip, but for us, it's within that period that we did the transfer of Krista J. Daly going to Europe. So for us, we respect the competitions we play in, but we've gone long past just wanting to win a competition. In the parish, it's for us, it's about transitional, making players being able to transit to the next level. So just keep them focused. That's what we keep in front of them. If you want to achieve what the likes of Krista J. Daly did, and all our other national representative of Odine Clark, Michael Clark, Lance Lang, all of those, you have to stay focused, and we tell them this is what is required. So we are clear with what is required, and they understand that being talented is not enough, because there's a lot more intangible stuff that is required to make that transition. And our sojourn with Krista J through Europe twice has taught me a lot, and has taught the club a lot in terms of what you look for, what do you emphasize with these young players. So you keep them focused with that little carrot in front of them that you can get onto to becoming a pro. In fact, one of our players is now a William, the player he is. He's getting a scholarship to go to overseas to a university in the US as well. So we're proud of that too, with one of our players making that transition as well. So for me, the focus, we keep them focused by reminding them daily that this is what we want, not just for the club to win a title, but for you to maximize your potential.
Great. So who are some of those key players and the ones that are upcoming as well?
I think you spoke with one of them, Keneal. He's a youngster from the community. Holland, I see Holland is so diverse that sometimes we're not the biggest crowd carriers, because our team is not just community based. We have kids as far from Maroon Town that is a part of our team as well, and across the length and breadth of Trelawny, any community in the parish you can think of, we are there. So Keneal is definitely one of them that we think is a really good prospect. I mean, Jamar Skyers is one you spoke with as well. He's moving on to tertiary level, but you know, we say to them there's a lot more to just playing on the field. There's a lot of careers in football, and I think he's one that even if he doesn't make it on the field, Skyers will have a career around the sport as well. So I think Keneal at the moment is showing bright sparks as well, and there are other little ones that we've just brought in. And they too, one known as Daniel, he's looking well as well. Daniel is a youngster that I wanted to work with much earlier, but the parent didn't want, because the parent said he wasn't doing his work well. Yeah. And I told him it doesn't have to be one or the other. And no, the work wasn't done well, and still the football got left behind a little bit. But I think there's enough talent there for us to unlock it. And if not to the highest level, then I certainly think that he can go pro in Jamaica.
Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about the team's training regime and tactics to unlock those potential that you speak of?
Yeah, we are big on developing the players technically. We think it's important to ensure that is the base, that the basis of which, if a player at 16 years old is not technically sound, then I mean, it's difficult for him to really make that transition. Some studies suggest that after 16 years old, you probably can only develop the players 20% more. So for us, it's big on them being technically sound and mentally strong as well, because that's where I think a lot of young Jamaicans going overseas and come back shortly after is because mentally they're not ready for it. They're talented, but you find that a Jamaican will be right there with other teams in the CONCACAF at 17, 19, but thereafter, then the other teams or the other players from those countries just tend to
Yes.
go on a higher trajectory than the Jamaican player. And I think a lot of times it's because of a mental state, and we have to really dig into that aspect of it. And we attach some titles to them too early too as well, and we measure them against players at their level, which is not the case. For me, if 10 bad teams are in a league, one will win. It doesn't mean it's good. It was 10 bad teams.
Yes.
You have to begin to measure, are you able to produce players that can transition to the Premier League in Jamaica, can transition to Europe? Then you know you're doing something good. So for us, that's what we're big on in terms of our training regime. And mentally, as I said, massive with that. Massive in terms of their mental space and how focused they are on what they can achieve. So tactically though, as a team, if you ask somebody about Holland, they'll tell you it's a team that likes to possess the football. We like to possess it. We're like a spoiled kid that goes to the park. If we can't get the ball, we take it up and we go home. I mean, it's like that. We literally want it every single time on the park. So we want to pass teams to death, but we don't just pass for passing's sake. We know when we pass the football, our objective is to shift opponents out of space, create those space, and then use those space to hurt them. So tactically sound too, we want to have our players understand that in a game you may play 4 different formations, but also understand that the greatest attribute in it is space. If you can find space, it's difficult with 22 players on 2 acres of land. But if you can find it, then you are a G. You will hurt anybody. Give good players time and space, they kill you.
Great. So passing is a very, very big part of your game. However, what would you say is your overall playing style and strategy in the field of play?
I have as a philosophy, I want to win, but my football philosophy is that I want to win looking good. I want people in the stands to enjoy when Holland plays. I mean, back in the days when we were dominating this parish, you have some guys who sell fruits in Falmouth. They would wrap up their cart with the tarpaulin and come down to the center once Holland is playing. They'll stop business for that hour and a half, 2 hours, because they were so happy to see a team really putting that football down and really passing teams to death. So yeah, we really, really love that. I mean, we enjoy day in, day out. It's something that tactically now, I think despite having my philosophy, I'm a pragmatist too. I'll do what I need to win a particular game, because if I need to be very direct in this game, you can't say that I'm a team that just kick the ball long when 90% of my game I'm actually possession and passing.
Yes.
So I understand the reality that sometimes you have to be pragmatic and just do what is required to win a game. But for the most part, we want to look good. We want people to enjoy watching us, because football, to me, people, well, they don't pay a lot now, but when you have a venue that they do pay to come, they want to come and be entertained. That's what it should be about. And those who are on the park should enjoy the game, and those who are watching should enjoy it. It's not just about winning. It's a legacy that we're leaving, and I think Holland has I would say we have an identity now, and that's what I was big on, creating an identity for this club. If you ask me, I got into coaching by default. 2006 is when I started coaching. And my coach walked away from the team because we were second from bottom in the major league. As president called a meeting and said, look, you people need to meet technically and decide what the problem is. They said they're going to work with a technical committee. The coach would have to discuss with them training regimes and stuff like that. The coach said he didn't want to, and he walked away. So when the technical team came back to me, I said, go back and find a solution. Who's going to coach this team? And then they returned to me and said, boy, like I'm doing now, you chat a lot, so maybe you have to come at the sideline and start chatting.
Yes.
And I went in, novice, I just started researching, and 2006 I took a team second from bottom in the major league and went on to win it. And the rest is history. I went on and did my coaching badges, topped my cohorts twice, and I'm looking to even further myself again. So it's always about upward mobility, and the same thing for Holland. You know, I just want them to be that team in this parish that youngsters look forward to come in. I mean, you were here looking at the training before. The bulk of it, the average age of the team, that last team that won the knockout was about 16 years old. I mean, yeah, that is, I'm looking even to lower that. 15, yeah. If I can get it there, fine. 15, 14. If I can do that, compete at this level, then we're in good stead as Holland.
Great. So strategy and style, that's all good, but what do you do, or what do you encourage the players to do to keep that camaraderie, both on and off the field? Because team chemistry is one of the biggest things out there right now.
Holland United is like a family, I can tell you that. You see, the good thing when you go to younger players is that they have a desire. They believe they can get somewhere because of their age. So that desire makes it easier to deal with them, because you have some bigger guys and they're just playing for fun, and sometimes you have to be stern, and they're telling you they're not getting paid for this. They have to leave them work and them kids, and they make it seem like it's a huge sacrifice for themselves only. But when you deal with youngsters, they're enthused. They want to get to the next level. So they're locked in. And when they're amongst, what you do is that if I'm taking a player from a particular school or a club, he might be the better of the two. He might be so good, but he has a friend that he's so close with. I may take that friend too, though he doesn't match up to where I want, because I understand that his comfort, he's coming in a new environment, to bring somebody along with him that he knows, understand, and spend a lot of time with, will help ease him into our system. And so it makes it easier for him. And when he comes in, I can tell you this, good players like to play with good players. So if a good player comes in, it's a no-brainer. They will hug him up immediately, and he comes into a team. So the key thing for us is to bring good quality in. That's key, to keep the camaraderie and to keep them on their toes as well. So when a player looks across and knows I'm a right back, but here comes a right back who can take my spot, they understand that as a coach, I love all of them, but on a day I select the player who's best suited and ready for that day. So they know I don't select the team, they do, based on their performances. So we may chat and laugh here, and tomorrow you're not in the team. It's like that. I give you a little quick story. I had a boy who was, I had a game coming up, important game. There was a party inside, and I told the team way back then that person shouldn't go to the party. I went to the party in the night to see. I saw one of the guys. He was standing there. He bought me a drink. We drank and we chatted and we laughed.
Yes.
Enjoy the party. The next day he wasn't in the squad.
Yes.
Because I had said it already, so I'm not going to go there and tell you need to go home. We knew it already. So for me, that's what keep the camaraderie. They know it's a competition for their space. They know the coach isn't biased. They know the system. We give them three parameters to be selected: attendance, performance, and attitude. Those are the three things. You meet those stuff, and you're in the team. You're in the squad. You just have to understand that that is what we use to select it. So just turning up isn't enough. Performing is good. Your attitude in training is excellent as well. Then you're in my team.
Great. So with these younger players, what are some of the challenges you faced, and how have you overcome them over the years?
You know, these youths are as the years go by, these 21st century youths are totally different from the ones before.
Very true.
And they're distracted
Yes.
by a lot more stuff. They're
Yes.
bombarded with so many things on social
Yes.
media now that you now have to try and engage them in that way. So you use the things that they like to really help them along the way. So they spend a lot of time on social media. So
Yes.
coaching has to go beyond just the 90 minutes that we come to training here. So I may point them to, while you're on the social media thing, go on YouTube and you see some stuff. Go on IG and you see some stuff.
True.
So I may say
That's
to them,
true.
hey, what?
That's true.
You're a midfielder, find some stuff on some midfielder. Come back tomorrow and just tell me a little bit about what you learned. So we do that, but we also understand too that you have to be a little bit more flexible. You want them to train 5 days a week, they will, but there are times when he may be absent because, you know, he's going to probably go flex with a girl now and then, or his brethren may be going to do something on a day and he wants to go. So while you're adamant that he should be in and attendance is it,
Yes.
then you set maybe a minimum attendance. So we have 5 days training. You have to be here more than 50%. So 3 days is going to get you over that. So I think with these guys, you have to jump into their world, understand their world, relate to it, keep in touch with it so that you can understand how to deal with them. A lot of them have so many other issues too at home, broken homes,
Yes.
single parent. Some of them, they come to training and you tell him for run and him not run. You might, I tell my coaches, don't rush them. Go over first and ask them why you're not running, why you can't run. Maybe he didn't have lunch today. Maybe he's thinking about going home later and it's going to be 6 of them on a bed and he just can't bother with that today again. So there's so many things that I ask my players. First, ask the question before you get at them, because there's so many things that could be going wrong with these kids. Because their kids having kids, their mothers are probably much younger than I am even.
Yeah.
So it's understanding all the dynamics of it, and that helps us a lot. I'm hard on my coaches too, because they know I come down hard, because they have to understand. You have to try and jump into their world to deal with them.
Great. So the interview has been insightful so far. Earlier, I remember you speaking about the jerk chicken man, you know, locking up shop and coming
Yes.
to watch the game. So what would you say over the years is one of the most memorable or one of the best experiences you've had with a fan so far?
With fans, there's been so many good experiences with fans where Holland is concerned. But, you know, my biggest thing with fans is, I mentioned those where fans would have closed up, locked shop to come. But I remember I went to a game at Flames. Flames, it was Duncan Snow, but it was Flames before. And we were playing against them, and a coach from from Spicy Hill was at the game, and he was a fan of Holland as well. And he said to Duncans, you got to kick these boys from pillars to post, because guess what? If you allow them to pass this football, they kill you. And he turned around to somebody and said, as a coach, the biggest game I have played in, or the biggest lesson I got in football, was from Holland. They passed me to death. It was like 5 minutes, and I touched the ball. My team touched the ball twice, and it was knocking it out for a throw-in. So for me, it was massive. And then I had referees in the past who said, like, they didn't make a call for me. I'm like on their case, and they said, coach, pardon me. It's just that we get caught watching your team play. And for me, that's a highlight, because that's what I want. I want people watching this team to just enjoy it. And I have to be doing a lot of work now, and because a lot of things I'm involved in, I don't get a lot of time around the team. But I said this season and moving forward, I'm going to go back to that, because Holland doing well, I didn't have a magic one. It was really working day in, day out, 5 days a week on the training ground. And I have to get back to that. And you say you get back to basic, and that's where I'm at now, wanting to be at the training ground, wanting to look at the details. I remember sitting down on a chair, watching a boy kick a free kick, like 50 free kick, and I'm just looking at his contact with his foot, put my phone down, video it, and then come back, watch it. Those little fine details to improve a player, that's where I want to get back to. When I get on the training ground, it's like nothing matters in the world to me. No problem I have is on my head. Yeah.
Okay, very well said. So, with going back to the basics in mind, what would you say are your goals and aspirations for the rest of the 2024 Trelawny Major League?
Well, first of all, we said, short-term targets, and the first one is to make sure that we're in that top 6. Because for me, it's not necessarily having to win it, but we're in every competition to win it for sure. But I want these players to play as much game as possible, because much as I pride myself as being a decent coach, the best teacher of the game is the game itself. So the more they play, the more they solve problems on their own, the more you get them to think on their own. So my first objective is to get to that top 6, and to continually improve them along the journey as well. We lost our first game, we've drawn our last 2 games, so that's steady improvement. So you want them to peak at the right time. That's something important. And if we can win it, great, because what it gives them is a shot at a playoff for the tier 2. I'm not saying I'm mad rush wanting to get there, but again, it gives them different opposition, different scenarios, traveling to different places. It's all a part of their development. So the more they play, so my objective is really to get them as far as possible to play all possible games they could play. So if I get to the final, that would be great, because they would have played every game that they could have played in the Trelawny Major League. And by extension, if they were to win it, then they would get even another shot to play more games against stiffer opposition in the tier 2 playoffs. So objective is to do that, but also to find the best talents in this parish and bring them to Holland, because I made no mistake, I made no apologies to anyone. I, in my wisdom, believe that Holland United is the best place for any young talent in this parish to develop and to have a real shot of making the transition. In fact, I have people calling me from Montego Bay with good talents, wanting them to come to Holland. So I have no doubt that that is, so I want to do so well with these youngsters, that other talented youngsters out there would see us and believe that this is the place to be. This is the club that I will get my chance to play, no matter how small it is. As long as they're talented, size doesn't matter to me. So that's something I want to do this season.
Great. So as we approach the end of this interview, what is something you would just like to say to the fans, the supporters, to the persons out there that are wishing you on your team well?
I'd say to them that the parameters for success is not just winning on the field, and they can look to how many players that we have helped to make the transition to go pro or to make the national team, and how many youngsters were given an opportunity to express themselves. Those are parameters by which we judge our success. So while I will say to them, I know you're starved of success since COVID, because just before COVID 2020, that's the last time that Holland lifted silverware. That would have been about 4 years ago. Yes. It's a long time, a long stretch by Holland standard. There's no guarantee that it will be this season, but what is for sure, you will see us looking to get back to that way. You'll see a trajectory from Holland this season that we're getting back to where we were. So I crave your support still, and continue to encourage the youngsters, and please, as best as possible, come out and support your team as much as you possibly can, because these boys, they are the modern boys. They like to play in a stadium, in a venue where there's a lot of fans making a lot of noise. They want the pressure. Come and put them under pressure. I have no problem with that. But just be around your team and support the team and be patient as we build back the brand Holland to where it was and even get it further.
All right, so very well said. And there we have it. That is Dwight Jeremiah, the coach of the Holland United football team. It was a pleasure speaking to you, and we look forward to doing many more interviews with you.
Yeah, man. Good one for sure. Yeah, blessings.